Hello, everybody. My name is Anita Dharamshi, and on behalf of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce and the Sigma Group of Companies, I'd like to welcome you to today's session, Turning Setbacks into Comebacks, presented by the one and only Mr. Shiv Khera. Joining us today is Ms. Apurva Srivastava, Consul General of India in Toronto, Mr. Pramod Goyal, President, Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Arjun D'souza, Chairman, Sigma Group of Companies, and Mr. Ajay Tandon, Director, Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to start by saying a huge thank you to the Chamber for organizing not only this session, but the entire series of talks that have taken place over the past few weeks. These have been interesting times as we try and navigate through these uncharted waters, and the Chamber has provided insightful and timely information while we may be physically distanced, helping us feel closer together as a community, even during these times. Under the leadership of the current executive team, led by the President, Mr. Pramod Goyal, it's incredible to see how the Chamber has continued to stay connected with their members and continue providing innovative ways for members to network, share ideas, information, and experiences to help all of us through these interesting times. Continuing on that thought leadership, joining us today is renowned author, motivational speaker, and activist, Mr. Shiv Khera. I had the pleasure and honor of hearing Mr. Khera speak at an event here in Toronto a couple of years ago. As this event is being streamed online, we're lucky to be sharing this event with a global audience, and we welcome all of those tuning in from across the globe. In the spirit of making this session interactive, we'd love to hear from you, and we've set aside time at the end of the session for Mr. Khera to answer your questions, which you can submit through the Facebook comments. For those of you just joining us, welcome to today's session, Turning Setbacks into Comebacks, with Mr. Shiv Khera. A recorded version of this webinar will be available on the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. At this time, I kindly request everyone to please turn off their cell phones so that you can give your speakers your undivided attention. With that, to get things started, I'd like to welcome the President of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Pramod Goyal, to say a few words.
Thank you, Anita, for all the good words. Good morning, friends, and a very warm welcome to all of you. On behalf of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce, its board, members, and stakeholders, I extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Shiv Khera, the renowned management group. I extend our greetings to Mrs. Apurva Srivastava, the Consul General of India in Toronto, and also to Mr. Arjun D'souza, Chairperson of the Sigma Group. As Anita mentioned, our chamber is organizing this motivational session with the support of Sigma Group. Friends, our session today is being held when the world is under a siege of the pandemic, the likes of which humankind has not seen in over a century. COVID-19 pandemic is radically transforming our world and leaving behind a trail of destruction that is hard to imagine. The numbers, as we all know, are frightening. But beyond the number of the affected and the dead is the grim reality of the long-term implications of the pandemic. And not just on every other front, even on the financial front, if we look at what kind of impact it is leaving on national economies for all the countries globally. I mean, I was reading recently that Canada's debt burden has expanded to 3.2 trillion. So that's about 166% of our GDP, and really nearly 4 times what the IMF had forecasted for 2020. The numbers are equally dismal across all major economies of the world. The economic forecasts are clear. The adverse impact of the pandemic will last for a long time. However, the history of humankind has innumerable instances of a miraculous recovery when everything seems to have been lost. So we must stay positive and hopeful. And that's why we have Mr. Shiv Khera here with us today, who is known for his passionate pursuit of positivity. He's going to talk on turning setbacks into comebacks, a subject that everyone would relate to. I'm sure this session would be of immense interest to everyone. As Anita mentioned, we have our guest of honor today, Mrs. Apurva Srivastava, the Consul General of India in Toronto. Ms. Srivastava is a career diplomat, and in nearly 2 decades of diplomatic career, she has held many senior positions. In recent days in Toronto, she has galvanized the consulate to serve the Indians stranded in Canada because of the lockdown, and has also helped thousands of Indian students in Canada. I would request her to say a few words. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Apurva Srivastava.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. Namaskar, good morning. I'm really excited to be part of this interaction. I've been a great fan of Mr. Shiv Khera. So when Mr. Andy D'Souza told me that, he wants me to be a part of this thing, my first question to him was, why should I be speaking? I should be listening. So he said, no, you speak about little experience on how you deal with things as a diplomat and things like that. So I said, okay. But really, Mr. Khera, a very warm welcome to you. I'm very fortunate to be part of this panel with you. And I take this opportunity to thank Mr. D'Souza for this very timely initiative. And I'm hearing it that it's been an ongoing thing. And thank ICCC for putting this together. This is very timely, and thank you everybody for this session. As I told you, I'm here more to listen than to speak, but I'll give my 2 cents of how I deal with my failures and how I not let them affect me. So just a couple of minutes, and then I'm ready to listen to Mr. Khera. For me, I always think that everything good or bad has a shelf life. So everything passes, whatever, it's good, bad, everything, this too shall pass. So that kind of keeps me going. And second thing is life is not fair, but it is very beautiful. So recently I read something in University of WhatsApp that there are 2 kind of people if you're working with 2 kind of people. One is if you know tej patta, and other is dhania. So when you cook a vegetable, you put bay leaf in the beginning, and the bay leaf is a part of the vegetable cooking all through till the end. But when it's the time to taste the vegetable, when it's time to serve it, then tej patta is taken away from the vegetable and thrown away. So there are few people who are there working hard, but they don't get the credit. And the second is dhania, that is coriander, that they are not part of the cooking of the vegetable. They don't know what is going on. But at the end, when it's being served, or when you have to take the credit, then it's served with coriander. So of course, we have seen times when we have been tej pattas, and we have seen times when we have been dhanias. So if you have been tej patta, don't worry, you will become dhania one day. So that's how I keep on doing it. So I really like this, so that's why I quoted it. Then another thing is that I always have a short-term ambitions. I don't think that 5 years later, what will I do? When will I become ambassador? When will I become secretary and all that? So I just try and do whatever is it in front of me and try and give it in my best, and try to enjoy it as far as possible. Mistakes will happen. This will happen, but of course you need them to laugh together with your friends later. So definitely don't fear from mistakes. Lastly, it's very important for me to be flexible, keep on learning and improvising. Of course, we have to have our red lines because you have your principles that you have to behold. But beyond that, it's always good to be flexible, just keep going with the flow. We have to embrace changes. So this is how I try and deal with sudden changes and how I deal with failures. So I'm now looking forward to add, delete, amend, bend the rules which I have just spoken to you after listening to Mr. Khera. So thank you very much for your time, and I really look forward to listening it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Srivastava, for your encouraging words. I would like now to introduce Mr. Arjun D'souza, who is the founder of Sigma Group of Companies, which spans many diverse fields and areas and employs over 1,000 people across Canada, the US, the UK, and India. Mr. D'Souza also is the first recipient of the ICCC's Technology Achievement Award, which was instituted in 2002. He is a great friend of our chamber and always been a very big supporter. Besides facilitating Mr. Khera's presence at today's webinar, he was also instrumental in getting Mr. Khera to our chamber a couple of years back. And I was also there and had the privilege of listening to Mr. Khera at that time in person. I would now request Mr. D'Souza to kindly introduce the speaker, Mr. Khera. Welcome, Mr. D'Souza.
Pramodji, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going through unprecedented, unusual, unheard of, and any other adjectives that you can think of timings. Now, during these times, the responsibility, the social responsibility of organizations like ICCC and the social responsibility of the community leaders like Mr. Shiv Khera sir, Mrs. Apurva Srivastava ji madam, Pramod Goyal ji has actually increased. So before I turn to by the way Mr. Shiv Khera, let me talk about Pramod Goyal. Pramod Goyal is obviously our current president of the chamber. And I am very pleased to acknowledge, Pramod, I've never told you this, but you have not only risen to the call of your duty, but you, under your leadership, the chamber has gone way beyond it, sir. I notice every Thursday you are putting together beautiful webinars to serve not only your membership, sir, but you have gone on a global basis and helping the community cope with these unprecedented times. Coming back to Shiv Khera ji, Shiv Khera is a very good friend of mine. And in addition to being a friend, obviously I do follow him. He's a leader. When I saw that he was giving across the globe this particular seminar, Turn Your Setbacks into Comebacks, I reflected on my own life. By the way, my life, I have had many setbacks. Shivji may be familiar with some of them and may not be familiar with many of them. So I thought, why not invite this world leader, my good friend Shiv Khera ji, back to Toronto to talk to us. And Shivji, if you remember, last time when you were here, we had 500 attendees because that's all we could accommodate at that point. And you gave, your seminar got rave reviews. I keep on getting calls even to date that why were they not invited to your session? So I thought, thanks to the power of technology, that now we can have our friend, my friend, chamber's friend, Mr. Khera, not only address the membership of the chamber, but address all our friends and families across the globe. So, sir, you would be very pleased to learn that thousands of people across the globe, your fans, are watching this very, by the way, webinar. Now, my current duty to introduce Mr. Khera is a very easy one because he needs no introduction. Shiv Khera name itself is his introduction. But for those of you who may accidentally not know him, by the way, you cannot find me a bookstore in India that does not carry Shiv Khera material or Shiv Khera books. You cannot find me a web portal of books, etc., that does not carry Shiv Khera title. So with that, I don't think I need to introduce Shivji. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you my dear friend for many years and friend of the chamber as well, the legendary Mr. Shiv Khera. So with a huge round of applause, and I know Shivji is not able to hear those applause, but I know that you are applauding in your houses, homes, on your sofa. Give him a huge round of applause and bring on Shiv Khera.
Well,
Shivji, just one more second before I forget, before I let you
right.
start. I just want to let everybody know and let you know also there are many, many dignitaries and VIPs also listening to you right now. One of yours and my very good friends, Mr. Vivek Tankha from
Okay.
Delhi, the very senior Congress leader, member of parliament, and right up there in the top echelons of the Congress party, Mr. Vivek Tankha is with us. And
Okay.
we have also my very good friend, Mr. Gagan Sikand, member of parliament with us, by the way, listening to your speech as well. Plus, there are many, many other dignitaries which are listening to you. And as I come to know them, I will actually share the names with you at the end.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. The floor is yours.
All right. All right. Well, I think I'm grateful for all the kind words, and all I can say is, Mr. D'Souza, I think I would thank Vivek Tankha to begin with, because he's the one who brought us together between you and me. So my first thank goes to him, and the second one goes to you for becoming the captain and the team leader as a quarterback, putting the whole program together. Without that, obviously, it would not have been possible. And want to thank the Honorable Consul General, Ms. Apurva Srivastava, for joining in, ma'am. And your words, I've just noted that, you see, nothing has a permanent shelf life. Good and bad all have shelf lives. Boy, what a message that you gave right now. Excellent. And my only request is be with us for the entire end of the program. So I would like to get your feedback also, and I'll value that a lot. And Mr. Pramod Goyal, sir, thank you for your kind words indeed, and your leadership. All right, folks, let's kick off right here. Folks, the title of the program is Turn Setbacks into Comebacks. I'll share with you in my life, I've had 3 major setbacks in life, and what was the learning for me as I went along, I'm going to share that with you tonight. First of all, I'd like to make a disclaimer that, D'Souza ji, stay with me. Now, I would like to make a disclaimer here. I'm a BCom 3rd division, and I failed in my 10th. That's my academics, and that's about it. Now, I come from a business family. We had coal mines in India, close to 1,000 people working, and the coal mines got nationalized and the government took over, and we came onto the street. Street means street. My father had died when I was just about in college. We were left with the liabilities and the assets were gone, and I was married just 4 weeks then. And I remember a year later, my daughter was born, and I did not have $10 to buy milk that night. I sold some of the last piece of my mother's jewelry to get released from the hospital. I tried my hands on 3 businesses with no money, and I failed in all 3. Finally, November 13, 1975, I decided to leave India. I left and came to US, initially came to Toronto. So I have a very special place for Canada and Toronto, because that's where I started off my life. Came to Toronto. Since I'm not that educated, I started my life with a bucket in my hand, washing cars door to door for about 1.5 to 2 years. And then daytime, I was washing cars. Evening time, I was selling vacuum cleaners to supplement my income. And totally by accident, I got into selling life insurance. And there, I was on the verge of being fired. But there were some turning points. There were some turning points which made a difference in my life and how I took off from there. Then I moved on to US, got into 3 businesses. I bought out a company out of California in 1984, started the New Jersey operation with no clients, and I sold my company with close to 500 clients for a decent sum. Now, this is, in a nutshell, my entire life as I went along. Now, let's kick off from here. All of us are facing many, many challenges. And the biggest challenge today is that the coronavirus is moving from one city to another, and it has literally covered the whole world. And two is overcrowded hospitals, shortage of supplies, orders getting canceled, factories closing, unemployment going up, and death rate going up. This has literally shaken up the entire world. Now, with that scenario, people all over the world are feeling uncertain and nothing is predictable. There is no finish line. There is no finish line. And certainly, I don't know if anybody has all the answers today. Certainly, I don't have the answers. But there is no finish line, which is making people feel very insecure and uncomfortable everywhere. With the result, it is causing a lot of stress, anxiety, frustration, depression, and anger. Everybody's feeling those emotions right here. Now, folks, important thing is anybody who says, I have no stress, belongs to the lunatic asylum. We all go through stress. Now, stress cannot be avoided nor denied. And if it is denied, it comes back stronger and longer. Now, all we need to do is we need to understand, folks, all stress is not bad. In fact, it is stress that makes many times people perform. Look at the athlete who's ready to compete at the Olympics. If he was not under stress, there is no way he could ever perform. No way. Now, I'll share with you an example. If you have been to the race course or seen in the movies, have you seen the thoroughbreds? The thoroughbreds, before they get into the cabin, they are jumping like this. They are edgy. Everybody's jumping like this. You know what? They're under very heavy stress. But they somehow pack them into the cabin, and the moment the bell rings, bang, the door opens, and they shoot far. They shoot right away. Now, that's a thoroughbred. Now, you take a jackass. Hear this. You take a jackass to the race course. He's not jumping like this. He's not edgy at all. He is cool, man. He's just cool. He's just walking comfortably all the way. But remember, that is a jackass. He will remain a jackass. Now, hear this next sentence. Stress is the price we pay to be a thoroughbred in life. I repeat, stress is the price we pay to be a thoroughbred in life. Now, important thing is, all stress is not bad. In fact, stress makes us think out of the box, which is what makes us look for solutions, which probably we might not have ever done. Now, keeping this in mind, in one sentence that I'm going to share with you is, folks, let us not overrate the crisis, and let us not underrate our strength to fight and win. I repeat, this is so important. Let us not overrate the crisis and threat that we are facing, and let us not underrate our strength to fight and win. Very clear. Now, this crisis is impacting us three major ways. One is, it is impacting our life. Two, impacting our livelihood. Three, impacting our lifestyle. Three things. I repeat, impacting our life, livelihood, lifestyle. Now, let's start with the first one, life. What does that mean? Folks, first of all, none of us know who will be in quarantine next. Are you with me? None of us know who will be in quarantine next. Nobody knows. That's one. Two, what we do, where we go, and who we meet could be a matter of life and death. I repeat one more time. What we do, where we go, who we meet could be a matter of life and death. It has never happened like this in history. But yes, this is what is causing a life component threat to us. Now, number two is our livelihood. Now, folks, everybody's livelihood has stopped. Individuals, businesses, governments are going broke because they're not collecting any taxes anymore. So everybody's income has stopped. This is absolutely unprecedented. It has stopped totally. Now, Who are the people who are going to be hurt the most? Folks, we need to understand there are three kinds of people in this world. One is a super rich. Two, the mediocre, and three, the poor. The super rich are the Apple computers, Apple. They have $200 billion in cash reserves. Obviously, their livelihood is not a threat. $200 billion in reserve. They're super rich guys. Maybe the Birlas, the Tatas, the Adanis, and Ambanis. I would be totally surprised if they have a liquidity cash flow problem. I would be totally surprised. That's one part. So they don't have a livelihood problem. Now, the second category is the mediocre, possibly guys like me, possibly some others, viewers here. Those are the people who go out and work and get money, work and get money, work and get money, get and work and get money. Now, the day they stop going to work, they don't get money. Now, this is where they have started distinguishing between active income and passive income. Active income is, I go to work, I get money, I go to work, I get money. This is called active income. But now they realize the importance of something called passive income. When I don't go to work, I still must have money. I must get an income. Now, when we used to do financial planning for our clients, we always used to tell them, buddy, keep 1 year of your income in liquid cash where you should be able to access it within 24 hours for the sake of emergencies and accidents. You know why? Emergencies and accidents don't warn you in advance. They just come and you don't even know when they come. Therefore, you must be able to access that money within 24 hours. And that can be used as an emergency fund and possibly opportunity fund. That is one side. But you see, important thing here is the mediocre part is, I was talking to a banker the other day, and I asked him, I said, tell me, are you working at full capacity? He said, sir, we're working with 30% staff in our office, 30% staff. I said, are you working at 30% efficiency levels? He said, no, sir. We're working at 60, 70% efficiency levels. I said, how come? He said, we are putting all our clients who were on manual banking onto digital banking. Now, there were many people who were old-fashioned, they were doing manual banking. And there were many senior citizens who were not computer with technology. They were all doing manual banking. He said, we're going to each one and putting them on digital banking. So I said, what is your efficiency level? Guess what he said? He said, we are working at 70, 80% now, and we are shooting for 90% efficiency level. So I said, if with 30% staff, if with 30% staff, if you're working at almost 80, 90% efficiency level, then does that mean all these 60% people who were there before, they were redundant before, or they will become redundant after the crisis is over? He said, we haven't gone that far, so we haven't thought about it, but that is true. Okay, now the second question comes. I said, your 60, 70% of your staff is working from home. Work from home has become another buzzword. Now, I said, are you getting the same level of efficiency? He said, sir, the 80-20 rule applies. 80-20 rule applies means 20% of people can work without supervision. I repeat, 20% of people can work without supervision, but 80% people still need supervision. I was listening to Narayan Murthy the other day, and he said, many people in the IT industry, they are working from home. That is true. But he said, till we are able to quantify productivity at home, how can you give the compensation to them? Unless you tie the compensation to performance, how do you do it? Now, this banker said the 80-20 rule applies. 80% people, no matter what you do, they still need supervision. Even if you give them targets, you still need supervision. Okay, now, what are the choices that companies have? They either can lay off, retrench people, or give them unpaid vacation, or there is the third way of surviving is salary cuts, either voluntarily or mandatory. There is no other way because all incomes have stopped. So I said, well, what would you do with these people when they come back? Folks, this is very important. I believe many business people are listening to this. The analysis that he gave was phenomenal. He said, sir, there are 4 kinds of people in this world who work in companies. One is the superstar. They are proactive people, You see, they come up with ideas how to grow business. They help you in every manner, and they take pride in their performance. You can trust them. When they say it is done, it is done. When you go check out, it is done. They are honest people. They do a great, honest job. They are your superstars. That is, they are your assets in an organization. That is one level. That is one category of people, superstars. The second category of people is the doers. You tell them to do it, you tell them to do it, you tell them to do it, you tell them. The day you don't tell them that they don't do it. And then every time they do it, you got to check out if it's done right. You got to check out if it's done right. And when any time it is not done right, they hide behind possibly excuses, or they tell lies and they slip away. But they are the doers. You need to supervise and check. And the third category is the talkers. They talk more and do less. You see, they hide behind these things, and they are the ones who somehow think they can get away by only talking. And these are people who are not motivated people. Hear this, they are not motivated people. They only do what they can get by with. I repeat, they only do what they can get by with. They do enough that you have no reason to fire them, but they're not really motivated. They are not really motivated. They do only enough that you have no reason to fire them. They are talkers, not doers, and they are unreliable people. You can't trust them because they will get away by only talking and not doing. That is the third category of person. And the fourth category of people who work in the organization is they're troublemakers. Superstars, doers, talkers, troublemakers. He said, you know something, the talkers and troublemakers ought to go. They ought to go because I learned one thing in my life. It is better not to have a person than to have a wrong person in the company. Are you with me? You're running businesses. I repeat, it is better not to have a person than to have a wrong person in your organization. They will start destroying your organization. You know something I've learned over the last 35 years, I do consulting with many, many corporates. I've learned one thing. Corporations are not destroyed by competition from outside. Corporations are destroyed by sabotage from inside. Are you with me? D'souza, are you with me? Corporate businesses are not, even countries are not destroyed by competition from outside. They are destroyed by sabotage from inside. And that is the key here. And those are the people who should be knocked out anyway. They should have been knocked earlier before. Okay, the first two categories, the superstars and the doers, they don't have a problem. They have no problem. And now comes the third element is lifestyle. Now, till the lockdown came in, everybody was on the fast lane. We were all running. We didn't know where we were going, but we were going. Everybody was going somewhere. We didn't know where we were going. Now, interestingly, look at this. Earlier, we had no time, but we were running. Interestingly, look at this. Till the lockdown came in, the amount of time-saving devices we have today, we have never had that many in history, and yet we don't have what? We don't have time. You know why? Because somewhere we messed up our priorities. And I'm not here to preach here. I messed up my own priorities. I'm guilty myself. Therefore, this crisis has literally had people to step backwards and say, buddy, go look at your priorities. If you're running in the wrong direction fast, you're only going to land up much further from your life destination anyway. And when people mess up their priorities, they forget to distinguish between what's urgent in life and what's important in life. Now, urgent may or may not be important, and important may or may not be urgent. But the funny thing is, whenever we ignore what is important, it always converts into urgent. See, health is important, it is not urgent. Exercising every day is important, but it's not urgent. Now, if I have a crucial meeting tonight, I cannot exercise, it's not the end of the world. But if I ignore my health long enough, guess what happens? I will land up in the hospital. Interesting. Whenever we ignore what is important, it converts into urgent. See, in life, relationships are important, but they're not urgent. But if we ignore relationship long enough, guess what happens? We start talking to our lawyers. Interesting. You ignore what is important, it converts into urgent. And what this crisis has done is literally got people to say, buddy, remember, we were running earlier, but we didn't check direction. Remember, direction is much more important than speed. I repeat, direction is much more important than speed. Stop running. Check your direction. Where are we? Okay. Now, this crisis has literally forced us to check again our priorities between discretionary spending versus non-discretionary spending. And how is that? Look, people have realized one thing. Money in the bank is more important than having 35 shirts in your bloody closet. Hello? Money in the bank is more important than having 35 shirts in your closet. Money in the bank is more important than having a $250,000 car. This has literally brought us back to the basics. What the hell are we doing here? Discretionary and non-discretionary spending. One more thing. It has shifted the focus completely, and people are saying, buddy, bottom line is more important than top line. Repeat, bottom line is more important than top line. I don't care what the top line is, to hell with it. Because people every time ask, what is your turnover? Who cares your turnover, man? Nobody gives a damn. People saying bottom line is more important than top line. What am I getting? At the end of the day, what can I cut? What can I have? And what can I build up on? Okay. Now, with that in mind, the only comparison we have, sorry, I'm coming back to the lifestyle part that is here, is when people starting looking at priorities, you ask people, why do you go to work? I go to work for my family. Why do you work hard? I work hard for my family. Who are the most important people in your life? My family. Who are the most neglected? Also my family. Sadly, that is true. The most important people in life many times get to become the most neglected people too. And by the way, I'm not preaching here. I stand guilty myself. But then this is what people have started relooking back again. The setting of priority. Direction is more important. Now, coming back, through history, there are only 2 times where we can make a comparison of a similar situation that has taken place in the past. One was the Spanish flu of the year 1918. Now, in that crisis, 50 to 70 million people died. 50 to 70 million people died. 18 million Indians died. 18 million. Now, hear this. It came in 2 phases. The Spanish crisis flu came in 1918. And then things got into control. Everybody said, we got a handle on it now. So everything is okay. When they said everything is okay, they dropped the guard. When they dropped the guard, the second phase came back and hit and took away another 35 million people. Hear this. Why I'm saying this is a very important thing. You see, when the lockdown gets over, people drop their guard and they say crisis is over. They don't understand. The crisis is not over till it's over. Till you got a vaccine coming up, crisis will remain maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Who knows? Nobody knows. Just like we are starting to live with HIV, we might have to live with Corona now, COVID-19. We don't know that. Therefore, don't drop your guard. It comes back. Look at in South Korea, Singapore, it came back. The second phase was much worse than the first phase. Okay, that is one part. The second part is comparison to this kind of crisis was the Great Depression of 1929. At that time, the stock market crashed, Wall Street panicked, banks failed, people's savings were wiped out, $100 became $15. I repeat, $100 in 1929 became $15, only $15. And 15 million people became unemployed that time. Now, 15 million unemployed in 1929 is equivalent to 60 million today. Why? Population in 1929 was only 120 million, and today US has 330 million. And I just checked my numbers recently. Till last 2 days ago, almost 45 million people are on unemployment in the last 5 weeks. I repeat, in the US alone, only US alone, 45 million people have gone on unemployment rolls. 45 million people, and more to come as yet. Now, so far, I'm talking of the crisis. Now, let us look at the silver lining. D'Souza, let us look at the silver lining. What is the silver lining? Now, hear this carefully. Folks, experience has shown all over the world, whenever unemployment goes up, self-employment also goes up. I repeat, whenever unemployment goes up, self-employment also goes up. Now, during the Great Depression, when people had no money, they were not that educated, they were not techies, and they didn't have money, and they did not have any risk-taking ability. But there was a small group of people who were solution-focused. They were positive people, and they were labeled as positive entrepreneurs or survivalist entrepreneurs. Now, they had no technology, they had no degrees, and they had no money, no risk-taking ability, but what they had was they were positive people. Now, I'm going to share with you, they were solution-focused. Now, keep one thing in mind, there are some people in this world who are only problem-focused. You know what that means? It means you give them a solution, they give you a problem. They have a problem for every solution. Henry Ford said, kick them out, kick them out. We're not stupid. We understand there are problems. We need solution-focused people. Okay, now, I'm going to share with you 3 examples. And I share with you important thing is the silver lining. How come under the same set of circumstances, there are some people who break records while others break themselves? How come? I repeat, how come under the same set of circumstances, there are some people who break records while others break themselves? How come? Okay, I'm going to share with you 3 examples of these, and they all started on ground floor on a scratch. And today, they are household words in the United States. One was a man by the name of George Jenkins. In a neighborhood area, he took a abandoned little outlet, a little shop, and he started a retail outlet for non-perishable durable goods. I repeat, non-perishable durable goods. Why non-perishable? Because if they perish, it could be total loss. He couldn't afford that. And why durable? Because he said, if I'm not able to sell, at least I and my family can use it. See, their risk-taking ability was very low. They could not afford it. This is how he started 1929. And today, he has 1,000 stores in the US, doing $30 billion, net worth $6 billion. And the store is called Publix Supermarket. Go check it out, Google. Publix Supermarket. The second example was, there were 2 brothers in California, Gallo brothers. They were struggling, but they were positive. They took some grapes and started crushing grapes and started making wine out of it. But nobody would buy it. Nobody bought their wine. Then they had no choice but to sell their wine below market, 50% below market. They sold wine 50% below market. And folks, today, they have a Gallo winery in California, which accounts for 25% of wine business in the United States, and their net worth is close to $8 or $10 billion. Third example, there was a man who had a man by the name of Simplot. He had a little patch of land in Idaho, and he started growing potatoes. Now, what he couldn't sell, he started eating. And what he couldn't eat, they started rotting. Now, he could not afford the rotting of the potatoes because that was a dead loss. So he created a system to freeze them. And folks, today, Simplot accounts for 33% of the French fries business in the United States. He's called the Potato King. His biggest customer is McDonald's, and the man is worth close to $10 to $12 billion. Now, folks, why am I sharing these examples? And does that mean you and I, anybody who starts anything, and all of us will hit $8-10 billion? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that at all. Catch the spirit. The spirit is all these people had the same problem. I repeat, all these people had the same problems or much worse. But they were solution focused. And things like that literally make us redefine the word success. Success is not absence of problems, it is overcoming problems. And folks, whatever I know of Mr. Andy D'Souza right now, I believe people like him also came to Canada with probably nothing in their pocket. They started from ground zero. And God has been kind. They did it right. They worked hard. And the important thing is they did it in the proper manner. And people like him have accomplished great success, sustained success, and built goodwill. What else? Okay. Now, with that in mind, folks, this crisis is impacting us three ways. One, physically. Two, economically. Three, psychologically. Let me share with you the physical part, which is medical. Now, I am not a medical doctor, so I am not qualified to talk medical stuff anyway. And WHO is giving enough information everywhere. That is great. And in news is giving a lot of medical information, and that's their job. But I must address on the hygiene factor on physical side. I remember when we were little kids, our parents said, wash hands. You go in, wash hands, come out, wash hands, go to the bathroom, wash hands, come out of the bathroom, wash hands, touch anything, wash hands. Before you eat food, you wash hands. And you wash hands 50 times. You know something? Somewhere, we have forgotten to give these hygienic values to our kids and grandkids. Somewhere we messed up. Somewhere we forgot to give these same hygienic values to our help in our offices, in our homes. We need to do that. But there's a flip side to it. People who are insensitive. There are people who wash hands. And have you noticed one thing? There are some people who wash hands like with a soap like this, and they keep the tap running. Well, while you wash hands like this, the tap is running. Do you realize you are wasting 5 liters of water? 5 liters of water going down the drain. And if you wash your hands 20 times, 100 liters of water, you have gone down the drain. 100 liters. And if you have 5 members in your family, 500 liters of water is going down the drain. And remember one thing, the next world war will be because of shortage of water. Now, this is one side of the picture, but there are many people, you tell them wash hands. Their answer is, you know what? We don't even have water to drink. What the hell to wash hands? We don't even have drinking water. How can we wash hands? That is another side of the picture. But let us look at the third side. I heard a medical doctor say the other day that because of the corona crisis, the hospitals where they're keeping the corona patients there, they're packed up, all right. But he said the normal admission to hospitals, occupancy has gone down by 50 to 70%. I repeat, hospital occupancy has gone down by 50 to 70%. Now, how's that? He said during the lockdown period, many factories were closed. People were not driving cars. Hence, the pollution level came down drastically. Hence, no respiratory problems. One. Two, since cars are not on the road, road accidents are not taking place. So no road accident victims. And three, since the hygiene factor has changed drastically, the sanitary and hygiene condition, infection is not taking place anymore. So occupancy in the hospital has gone down by 50 to 70%. Interesting. Now the question is, how can we sustain this without ruining our economy? We can't do it at the cost of economy. Okay, that's one. Now, this is the physical part. The second is the economic part. There was a time everybody was talking one word: globalization, 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 globalize. Well, wait a minute. Now, you got people globalizing 25,000 miles away. And people are saying we are depending on another country who could take us for a ride or blackmail us 20,000 miles away. He said, no, no, no. Interdependent is behind us. Now, independent, self-dependent, self-sufficiency has become more important. You can't depend on them. Do you know, I just came to know last week, United States, they are dependent on China for 97% of their pharma supplies. 97%. They said we cannot function like this anymore. And that means that production must come closer to consumption. I repeat, production must come closer to consumption. First of all, why did we take the production that far away? Only because of labor cost. But today with automation and artificial intelligence and robotics, labor cost has become very insignificant. I just had a friend of mine set up a factory. He had close to a previous factory with 1,000 people working. The new factory he has set up, has 5 times more capacity and 1/10 of the people workforce. So the labor component has gone down very drastically. Now that is the economic side of it. Now, coming back further, now the last part is psychological. The last part is the psychological part, which is the emotional part. Very important point I want to make here. See, people who are emotionally strong, I repeat, people who are emotionally strong, during this crisis, they're becoming stronger. I repeat, people who are emotionally strong, during this crisis, they're becoming stronger. And people who are weak, they are running into much bigger problems. WHO came up with a report which said domestic violence has gone up by 50%. How do you like that? Domestic violence has gone up by 50%. People who are emotionally weak, they have started fighting much more, irritating each other, they're getting on each other's nerves, everything is going wrong for them. But emotionally strong people, they are becoming stronger and stronger. You ask people, you ask anybody, if you had 3 extra hours per day, right now we don't have the extra hours, but if you ever have 3 extra hours per day and you ask people, what would you do? You know what the answer is? I'll spend that time with my family. Well, now you got the time, man, go spend it. Go spend it. Now you have it. Go. You ask anybody if you had 3 extra hours, 2 extra hours per day, every day. What would you do? Everybody says, without exception, I'll spend it with my family. Okay, do it. You know something? Those who are strong emotionally, they're becoming stronger. Okay, now let me come to share with you some steps. Some steps how to cope with the crisis. how to cope with this crisis, what are the solutions we're talking of. And folks, if you would like to take this down, I'm going to share with you 9 steps. 9 steps. How to cope with the crisis. 9 steps. Step 1. Step 1 is the Serenity Prayer. Serenity Prayer. 45 years ago, when I was in New York, I attended a program by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the man who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking. He came up, he saw about 1,000 people, and he said, "You people appear so calm, cool, comfortable, relaxed. It seems nobody has a problem here." Then he asked, "Does anybody have a problem?" So who doesn't have a problem? Everybody raised their hand. We got a problem. And then he asked, "How many people would like to get rid of the problem?" Again, everybody raised their hand. I want to get rid of the problem. Then Dr. Peale said, "While coming here to address this congregation, I came across a place and I saw there were some people lying there, totally stretched out, totally relaxed. They had no problem whatsoever. How many people would like to know where it is?" Again, everybody raised their hand. And Dr. Peale said, 2 blocks away from here, there is a cemetery. There are people lying there, all stretched out, totally relaxed. They have no problem. How many people would like to get rid of the problem? Nobody raised their hand. Everybody put their hand in their pocket. Then Dr. Peale said, which was very profound, he said, "Remember one thing, problem is a sign of life. So long as you are alive, you shall have problems. The day you don't have problems, you'd be dead. And when you are running short of problems, there is a time to get on your knees and pray to God. If you stop trusting me anymore, send me some problems here." Folks, what he said after that, to me, is the crux of life. That day, he gave a serenity prayer, which was not his either. But it goes like this. I will repeat it twice. It is so profound. And folks, for the past 45 years, I don't leave my house without my prayer. I repeat, I do not leave my house without the prayer. And I faced many adverse situations, and it has given me so much strength to face them. It goes like this. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. I repeat, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. And if you analyze this little prayer, it is the crux of life. Folks, dissect this prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Now, folks, question is everything in life within our control? Answer is no. Can we change everything the way we want it? No, we cannot. There are some things beyond us. We can't do everything. But yes, it says, what I cannot change, let me accept graciously, not grudgingly. Now, I didn't choose my parents, neither did you. I didn't decide where I was going to be born, neither did you. And if this is the color of my skin and this is my height, there's nothing I can do about it. And granted, sometimes people are born deformed. What wrong did they do? Who knows? And granted, sometimes bad things do happen to good people for no fault of their own. What wrong did they do? Who knows? See, folks, what I cannot change, let me accept it graciously, not grudgingly. Because many times in life, we keep fighting the things we just cannot change. And then we bring stress into our lives. When stress comes in, we become paralyzed, become totally unproductive. We become unproductive. Now, you notice one thing, there are many people who keep fighting the things they cannot change, and we bring stress into life. Why do that? If I can't change, let me accept graciously, not grudgingly. And 2, if I can change, then give me the guts and courage to do it and wisdom to know what I can and what I cannot. Now, when I wrote my book, You Can Win, and the other one, You Can Achieve More, I took this thought 2 steps forward. And in there, I wrote in that life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. Seems like a contradiction, but not. See, how is life full of choices? If I ill-treat you, I've chosen to be ill-treated, haven't I? If I treat you with discourtesy, I've chosen to be treated with discourtesy, haven't I? If I light up a cigarette, I've chosen to invite cancer, haven't I? If I drink and drive, I've chosen to invite an accident, haven't I? If I exercise every day, I've chosen to invite good health, haven't I? If I eat too much, I've chosen to be obese, haven't I? See, life is full of choices. Now hear this, folks. We are all free to the point of choice. But after we make our choices, choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice. I repeat, we are all free to the point of choice only, but after we make our choices, choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice. Now, how is life full of compromises? In life, we cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us. What we can choose is how we play the game. And sometimes in life, nature gives us a lemon. Choice is ours. Do we cry? Do we make lemonade? That's a choice. Now, what is success? Series of positive choices in life is called success. And series of negative choices in life is called failure. That's it. Now, many times, especially the press, has asked me a question. Mr. Khera, tell me, people who are successful, don't they make mistakes in life? And people who are failures, don't they do positive things in life? And my answer to them is, hear this carefully, folks. People who are successful, they do make mistakes. But remember, making a mistake once in a while does not make a person a failure. Repeating the same mistake again and again is what brings failure. And doing something positive once in a while does not bring success either. Repeating the same positive behavior again and again is what brings success. That is it. It is that simple. Okay, that's one. Step 2, second step on overcoming the stress factor. Second, and that is, folks, limit your exposure to news. I repeat, limit your exposure to news only twice a day, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening. That's it. That's it. You know why? Because news is so negative. It is so depressing. It pulls you down. Have you noticed there are some people who wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is they turn the TV on and they check the score as if there's a cricket match between England and Australia. And what they see is how many infected, how many dead, how many infected, how many dead, how many infected, how many dead. They watch 1 hour, one channel, and then they switch the next channel and the next channel as if the score is going to change. And they keep watching news all day long and right till the evening, from morning 8 till evening 8 o'clock. 12 hours later, all they have seen is death and infection, death and infection. And in the evening after 12 hours, the man says, I am depressed. Of course you'll get depressed. Man, you've been watching negative stuff 12 hours, that's all. And the more depressed you get, your immunity drops, your immunity goes down, and your chance of catching the virus are much greater. Limit your exposure to news only twice a day, 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening. That's it, stop. And besides, get your information from reliable sources. Today, there's a lot of fake news going on. Get your information from reliable sources. Okay, that's step 2. Now, step 3. Step 3. Folks, step 3 says, convert your wasted time to productive time. I repeat, convert your wasted time to productive time. How do you do it? Folks, somebody asked Nelson Mandela. Folks, this is very profound what Nelson Mandela said. Somebody asked Nelson Mandela, Mr. Mandela, you were in the prison, in the jail for 27 years. How did you survive in the jail 27 years? And Madam Srivastava, hear what he said. Nelson Mandela said, he said, I have not been surviving 27 years. I've been preparing 27 years. I was preparing to be the president. I was preparing 27 years, which means I will not let the crisis define me. I will make the crisis refine me. Are you with me? I will not let the crisis define me. I will make the crisis refine me. I'm a refined person here. Okay. Now, how do you use this wasted time to productive time? There was a survey conducted in the US before the crisis. It said an average American watches 3 to 4 hours of TV per day before the crisis. After the crisis, maybe they're watching 8-10 hours, even more. Who knows what? But 3 to 4 hours a day. A person comes back from work in the evening, maybe 6, 7, and then he has his supper, and then the guy sits in front of the idiot box, and he sits there for the next 3-4 hours, and he just does the TV business. That's it. So in fact, it so happened, one person bought a new TV. A friend of his came visiting, and he saw the new TV. It was impressive. So he asked, boy, that's a nice TV. How much did it cost you? And he said, well, it's $1,000. He said, are you sure? He said, yeah. So he asked his friend, how much do you make a person? How much do you make a year? What is your annual income? He said, I make $100,000 per year. He said, do you know what is your hourly rate? What is your hourly rate? Have you ever calculated? He said, yeah, if I work 2,000 hours a year, my hourly rate comes to $50 an hour. He said, $50 an hour is your hourly rate, but you watch TV 3 hours a day. That is $150, and you watch it 365 days a year. Do you realize 365 days a year multiplied with $150? Do you know what it comes? It comes to $55,000 per year. $55,000 per year. That is more than EMI on a $500,000 home. Do you understand that? That is more than your EMI on a $500,000 home. This TV is not costing you $1,000. This TV is costing you $55,000 every year. Now, don't get me wrong. We all enjoy TV. We like to watch TV, and we should watch TV. Once in a while, there's a nice movie, there's a nice play. But watching TV every day, 3 to 4 hours, man, what the hell are you doing? You are paying money to those people acting in the TV. They're making money, and you are paying for them. What the hell are you doing? Is this the way you want to live? No. And by the way, I made that mistake myself. Initially, 1 or 2 days on the lockdown, I was guilty myself. I was also watching 8 hours of TV per day. But that is not the way to live. Now, in my book, You Can Achieve More, I have given a survey conducted which said 85% of millionaires and billionaires today are first generation. Only 15% are from inheritance. I repeat, 85% of millionaires and billionaires today are first generation. Only 15% are coming from inheritance. And these multimillionaires and billionaires, they were asked, how were you able to accumulate such wealth in such short period? Guess what the answer was? The answer was, we read books. And I back there, I mean, he's got tons and tons of books right here. And their answer was, we read books. And how many books? The answer was, we read 50 books a year. By the way, you can Google and check in my book too. Check it. 50 books a year means they read 1 book a week. These multimillionaires and billionaires who are running big businesses, they read 1 book a week. Warren Buffett reads a book. Bill Gates reads a book. But you know something? 1 book a week. And they were asked, what kind of books do you read? And the answer was, we only read self-help books and nothing else. We don't read fiction. You know why? Fiction is fiction is fiction is fiction. And fiction remains fiction for the rest of your life. You can't relate to it. That is fiction. They said, we only read self-help books. You know why? Because one idea is worth $1 million. And they said, we don't have time to waste. We don't have time to waste. One idea is worth $1 million. Now, you see, interestingly, there are people who say, they have no time. They're unemployed, they have no time. They're doing any job, they have no time. Then they say, I have no money. Excuse is permanent. I have no money to buy books. If I become multi-millionaire, I'll buy books. You know something they don't understand? Today, education is free. You know, education is totally free today. If a degree was not a requirement for a job, you know something, 50% of your universities would lie vacant. Nobody would go into universities anymore. Education is totally free. You can go to the library, get any book for free. Go to library, get any book for free. But these people will never do it. Now, serious readers, you see, they read books. That means there is a correlation between learning and earning, learning and earning, learning and earning, and learning and earning, and learning and earning. You learn and you earn. You learn and you earn. Now, a serious reader will never borrow a book, never lend a book. I repeat, a serious reader will never lend a book or borrow a book. Never. Many times people come to me and they say, Mr. Khera, I got a great book. I will lend it to you. I say, no, sir. Give it to me, gift it to me, sell it to me, but don't lend it to me. Don't lend it to me. Why? I will not give it back to you. You know why? When I read a book, I underline, highlight, mark, and make notes on it. And why? Because I learned one thing in my life, reading a good book once is never good enough. I repeat, reading a good book once is not good enough. You know why? Because when you read a second time, you don't find anything new in the book, but you find something new in yourself. You don't find anything new in the book. You find something new in yourself. And that one time, I used to read maybe 30, 40 books a year. But in between few years, I dropped that habit. But every day, I put in about 2 hours per day in my own learning, every day. But the other day, I went to my office and I was cleaning up my papers. And some of these things are still in my boxes right now. And I calculated, I have in my office, in my library, close to 250,000 books in my library. My library alone, which many libraries don't have it, that many books. But then what I found, many books were half read. I read half, I left it half. I pulled out all the books that were half read. I started reading. And one night I was reading till 6 o'clock in the morning. Then I couldn't wake up till 2 o'clock. To hell with it, I don't care. But I understood. I didn't waste time watching TV. But at least that was time well spent. It was well invested. Okay, you got to convert your wasted time into productive time. Now, the Singapore government is very far-sighted. During this lockdown period, they've allocated a few $1 billion for people to upskill. And their logic is, during uptime, nobody had the time. During uptime, nobody had the time. But now this is downtime. We have time. This is the time to upskill, because when the crisis is over, you will get a jump start. You will be ready for the next level. This is how far-sighted these people are. Now, folks, I just want to say one thing. During this crisis, D'Souza, during this crisis, if we have not upskilled ourselves or become more knowledgeable or become healthier and fitter, it is not because we lack time, but because we lack the commitment and self-discipline. I repeat, it is very crucial. If during this crisis period, if we have not upskilled, or if we have not become more knowledgeable, or if we have not become fitter and healthier, it is not because we lack time, but because we lack self-discipline and commitment. I remember, folks, my webinars only started 5 weeks ago. Till 5 weeks ago, I was learning SMS from my grandchildren. I did not have sent an email in my life. I did not know what a webinar was. But you know something, since the last 1 month, every other day I'm doing 1, 2, 1, 2. Today I've done 2 webinars. Every day I'm doing webinar, and I'm booked for the next 1.5 months further. Folks, this has opened up totally a new door for me. I have upskilled and looked at knowledge. And third, health-wise, I've lost 6 kilos of weight. I exercise every day, which I had a hard time doing before. So I repeat, if the crisis, you have not upskilled yourself or become more knowledgeable or become fitter and healthier, it is not because we lack time, but because we lack self-discipline and commitment. Okay, step 4. Step 4. Overcoming depression, because many people are complaining, I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling depressed. I get calls from people and they think I have all the answers, which I don't. But important thing is, I have people calling in and they say, Mr. Khera, I'm very bored. I'm feeling depressed. And I didn't say that, but my answer to this is, I learned one thing in my life: only boring people are bored. I repeat, only boring people are bored. This is the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the pain of being alone. Solitude is the pleasure of being alone. I enjoy my company, man. I'm at peace with myself. They don't get depressed. And what is a way out of depression? A world-famous psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Carl Menninger. By the way, the Menninger Clinic, even in the US today, is considered to be the last word in psychiatry, even today. Somebody asked Dr. Carl Menninger, Doc, if you knew for sure that one of your patients was going to come up with an attack of depression, what treatment would you prescribe? They thought he would write a medication to him. And here's what Dr. Menninger said. He said, if I knew for sure that a patient of mine was coming up with an attack of depression, I will tell them, go home, lock yourself out, go to the other side of town, find and look for somebody who is in trouble, just help them. Your depression will go away automatically. Go help them. Somebody who is in trouble and your depression will go away. You know something, folks, I do work with the roundtablers and the Rotarians and the Lions and done some fundraising for them also. And I find all these people are so positive and so busy. Every day they are so busy. They every day organizing blood camp, eye camp, blood camp, eye camp, blood camp, eye camp, or polio eradication. They are so busy, they have no time to get depressed. I repeat, they have no time to get depressed. So go help somebody, your depression will go away. Step 5. Folks, step 5, to overcome the crisis, folks, build positive relationships in life. I repeat, build positive relationships in life. Folks, Your biggest asset in life is not your bank balance. I repeat, your biggest asset in life is not your bank balance. Your biggest asset is your relationship account. You know, I learned one thing in my life, that people with good relationships, what they can achieve with one phone call, you cannot achieve with $1 million. I repeat, people who have good relationships, what they can achieve with one phone call, you cannot achieve with $1 million. Folks, your biggest asset in life is your relationships. And I talk of two sides: personal relationship, professional relationship, and social relationship. I'm coming to that. Everywhere, it is the same story. Now, folks, God forbid, if any of us was in the hospital tonight or had a problem, tell me, how many people will be around us? Probably the closest 2, 3, 4, 5 people. That's it. Nobody else. Nobody else. And those are the people many times in life, we take them for granted. And that is sad. But you know something? People with strong bonds, they are becoming stronger. And that is the key. Your friends and relatives are your biggest support group in life. They are your biggest support group in life. And that is what we want to build. And same thing is true with our professional relationships. And many times people join associations, organizations, maybe the BNIs or some Lions and the Rotaries. Many times they join in only for one reason. Oh, I will be able to build contacts. I will be able to build contacts. I will build contacts. Networking, networking, networking. And the only purpose of networking is that they understand who could be useful, who could be useful, who could be useful. And they stick with you so long as you're useful. Usefulness goes, they throw you out like dirt. They are rascals. They are bloody rascals. Watch out. They are selfish people. They have no other aim in life. They are only takers in life, and that's it. Watch out. Keep in mind one thing. There are 3 kinds of friendships in life. One is a friendship of convenience. You see, it is convenient to our neighbors. It is convenient to be together. Now, convenience goes, friendship also goes. Second friendship is friendship of usefulness. You see, he is useful. He is IAS, IPS, lawyer, doctor. Yaar, bana ke rakho, kya pata? You never know. He could be useful. Usefulness goes, friendship also goes. And the third kind of friendship is built on. Third is when you have a common enemy. Common enemy goes, friendship also goes. And the fourth kind of friendship is built on mutual respect. The word is mutual respect. You see, the day mutual respect goes, everything goes. People say the word tolerance is a great word. In my opinion, that is the worst word in the language. You see, I and my wife don't live together because we can tolerate each other. We live together because we respect each other. The day mutual respect goes, we cannot live together. You know, when we say I live together because I can tolerate each other, means we are postponing the blast. That's all. We are postponing the blast. Now, and the fourth friendship is, the real friendship is built on mutual respect. And see, keep one thing in mind, folks. Supposing I and let us say Vivek or Mr. D'Souza, we are friends. We've been friends for 20 years, 20 years. And God forbid, any of us tonight has a problem. Who's the most natural person they will go to? The friend of 20 years. They're not making new friends tonight. Most natural person is the friend of 20 years. Now, is it my duty to help? Answer is yes. If I help, am I doing an obligation? No. And if I don't help, am I behaving like a friend? Answer is no. Unless he starts doing something illegal, immoral. Then I'm not interested to help. Important thing is, it is my duty to help. Now, Folks, keep one thing in mind. Helping each other is never the purpose of friendship. Helping each other as a friend is a duty, responsibility, obligation. But remember one thing, it is never the purpose of friendship, because if it is the purpose of friendship, purpose finishes, friendship finishes. You see, helping each other is always incidental to friendship. Remember, it is my duty to help. It is my obligation to help. It is my responsibility to help. But remember, it is always incidental to friendship, never the purpose of friendship. Are you with me? Are you with me? Say hello. Somebody say hello. Okay, good. So, mutual respect is the word that carries on. Okay, now, you see, I was in Singapore. I had attended a meeting and I was coming home. And on the way, I met a person in the lobby. And he asked me, where were you from, and so on. And so I told him I just came from this meeting. And his one thing was, he said, did you meet some people who would be useful for you? You know something, the moment he asked me, did you meet some people who would be useful to you? I just felt like, I don't know, I shouldn't say punching this guy, but I just didn't like it. You know something, you just don't look at people who could be useful. That's not the purpose. You know something, just meeting a good person is good enough. Are you with me? Just meeting a good person is good enough. Don't start looking, what can I get out of this guy? They are the people who are only leeches. They are takers only. Keep them out of the door. That's all. If you want to build good friendships, remember one thing. Be willing to give in life. Be willing to give. Be willing to give first. Don't be a taker in life. Now, I got a call the other day from a gentleman I had not heard 10 years. He says, Mr. Khera, I'm so-and-so. We had connected 10 years ago, but I was going through my directory. Somewhere we got disconnected. And I think I had a lot of respect for you, but I'm just calling to reconnect with you. My God, what a message. I'm just calling to reconnect with you. I felt so guilty. He beat me to a phone call. And after I hung up, I immediately look at all my contacts who I have a lot of respect for, but I had disconnected. I picked up the phone, I called them. I said, buddy, I apologize. We met so-and-so time, and it was great to have met you. And buddy, somewhere it's my fault. I didn't keep up with it. I'm just calling to reconnect. Man, what a powerful message. So folks, be clear. Building relationships and networking is not a matter of just going, taking, and stooging. Stooging is not networking. That is selfish behavior, and that's about it. Okay. And in fact, I had some people ask me, after the crisis is over, how can we generate more business? You know, again, the guy is looking only for getting. I said, look, you should build relationships first. Remember one thing, people do business with people they like. It is not your price. It is not your product they buy. Hear this, people don't buy your price or product. They do business with people they like. That's about it. Now, important thing is, this gentleman asked me, how can we jack up our business after the crisis is over? Now, when we do consulting for our clients who pay us money for this advice, here's what I said to this gentleman. I said, look, go back, look at the last 6 years of all your customer list. Go look at 6 years of your customer list and just check how many of them have not done any business in the last 1 year. They did business with you 5 years ago, but in the last 1 year, they have not. Do one thing, pick up the phone. And that's a good idea for viewers right now. Pick up the phone and call them and say, buddy, I see we did some business 6 years ago. And I'm not calling to do business right now. I'm not doing that at all. My whole purpose is to find out where did I go wrong? Because somewhere we disconnected. Sir, where did I go wrong? Somewhere we disconnected. Could I request you to help me out? What did we do wrong? And find out. You know something? They have the time right now. They'll listen to you. Tomorrow when they don't have time, they won't even take your call. You need to build good relationships, and that is the key. That's your biggest asset. Move on. Next step. Next step, folks, is become a proactive person, not a reactive person in life. I repeat, become a proactive person, not a reactive person in life. See, when we do our 3-day, 4-day leadership program, which we do globally, and sometimes we take people by surprise and we ask them, are you a good person? The guy is confused. If other people think I am, I'm not sure. But then sometimes people say, yeah, I'm a good person. You ask them, follow-up question, what makes you good? And many times people say, I'm good because I don't do bad. Or I'm good because I don't cheat, I don't tell lies, I don't steal. So I'm good. And my answer to them is incorrect answer. See, folks, if I don't cheat, it only means I'm not a cheat, but that does not make me good. If I don't steal, it only means I'm not a thief, but that does not make me good. If I don't tell lies, it only means I'm not a liar, but that does not make me good. Keep in mind, not doing bad does not make a person good. Go ask a medical doctor. Absence of ill health does not mean good health. Are you with me? I repeat, absence of ill health does not mean good health. Similarly, not doing bad does not make a person good. A person becomes good when they proactively do good. That is called good, proactive. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Very important. Folks, pretty much all the viewers are leaders in some form or the other. We lead our family, we lead our society. Somewhere, we are all leaders. I learned one thing in my life. A good leader stands for something and always stands against something. If you are standing for good, you stand against evil. Automatically. If you don't stand against evil, that means you can't stand for good. A good leader, I repeat, always stands for something and always stands against something. They are never neutral. Neutral guys are the politicians. They will go any side. Whichever is the winning side, they'll run that side. That's a politician. They don't take a stand. They don't take a stand. And that is the sad part. Now, I repeat, you stand for something, you stand against something. I was doing a program, there were 5,000 people. As I finished, one person came to the audit to the dais, and he asked me a very pointed question. And he asked me, Mr. Khera, are you a Gandhian? D'souza ji, dhyan se. You see, he asked me a very pointed question. Are you a Gandhian? I've learned one thing in my life. Don't start answering questions till you clarify. And two, sometimes the best answer to a question is a question. Sometimes the best answer to a question is a question. So I asked him, before I answer, can you just tell me what are the criteria of being a Gandhian? What are the criteria of being a Gandhian? So the man says, well, there are 3 criteria of being a Gandhian. One is, Gandhi believed in that with love, you can win everybody in this world. One pillar of Gandhi. One pillar of Gandhi. With love, you can win everybody in this world. And the second pillar of Gandhi was tolerance. I tolerate. And third pillar was non-violence. Non-violence. 3 pillars Gandhi stood for. So again, he asked me, Are you a Gandhian? I don't know what came to my mind at that point. I just asked him, I said, look, our culture in India, at least we have the epics of Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Bhagavad Gita. I've not read them, by the way, but I've heard a lot. So I asked him somehow, we do respect these epics. So I asked him, sir, can you tell me on these three criterias, was Ram a Gandhian? Was Ram a Gandhian? Now let us look at the first one. You said Gandhi believed that with love you can win everybody. Was Ram able to win everybody with love? Was Ram able to win everybody with love? Answer is what? Answer is no, he could not. So he could not win with love. Two, you said tolerance. Did Ram say, I'm a very tolerant person? You kidnapped my wife away. Don't worry, I'm very tolerant. I'll get a second one. You kidnap the second one, I'll get a third one. You'll kidnap a third one, I'll get a fourth one. You'll take the fourth one, I'll get a fifth one. Did he say that? He said, no, I don't tolerate kidnappers. I don't tolerate kidnappers. Just stay with me. And the third, you said non-violence. What did Ram do, I said? What did Ram do? Did he pull out a weapon? And he said, I cannot tolerate kidnappers, even for self-defense. He said, we have to fight and kill. So Ram failed all three tests. That means Ram was not a Gandhian. Second, if you look at the life histories of all Sikh gurus, the 10th Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, oppression was going on and the Mughals were forcibly converting people. And was Guru Gobind Singh Sahib able to win everybody with love? Answer is no. Two, did he say I can tolerate oppression and terrorism? No. Third, he had to pull the weapon. So that means Guru Gobind Singh Sahib was also not a Gandhian. I said, look, people who do not stand up to protect the respect and dignity of their family, they are cowards. That is not called tolerance, that is called cowardice. And I said, I am not a Gandhian. Very clearly, be clear. I stand for something, I stand against something. Look, Ram stood for virtue. He stood against evil. I repeat, Ram stood for virtue. He stood against evil. Keep in mind, a good leader will always stand for something and he will always stand against something. You can never be neutral unless you're a politician looking for only power. Okay, now.
Shivji, we are running over time. So if I may, please. Please. Sir.
Just give me 5-7 minutes, I'll wind up.
Yeah. Thoda sa, please, because we also have a question and answer period. So
I realize.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting. We are loving it, by the way. We are loving it. We are loving it.
So what I'm sharing with you is my only contention was being a proactive person. I have no compassion for the enemies of humanity. You know who are the enemies of humanity? I saw a video in New York. There were people who are infected with the coronavirus and they were spitting at the doctors. Look at this. They were spitting at the doctors. They were spitting at the security forces. They were spitting at the police people. They were throwing stones. The videos in India we saw, they were throwing and beating up the doctors. You know something? And they are lacing vegetables. They are lacing fruits. And when they're delivering, they're lacing even the pizzas. They are the enemies of humanity. I have no compassion for them. Okay. Now, I got 7 more minutes. Can we go on? Let's stay with 7 more minutes. Or you want me to cut short?
Please make it as short as possible, please. Yeah, but I don't want you to lose your thoughts. So continue.
No, not just 3 more part. In fact, let me share with you 2 more. In fact, they're rather crucial. In fact, another one is build emotional strength. Build emotional strength. And how do you build emotional strength? By building high self-esteem. Now, what is self-esteem? Self-esteem is the way we feel about ourselves. When we feel good, the world looks nice, productivity goes up, and relationships are a lot better, aren't they? And the reverse is just as true. And self-esteem is inversely related to egos. Have you seen people with egos like I know it all? What do? They talk down to people, don't they? They put down others, don't they? And every decision they make is more to satisfy ego than makes sense. Now think about it. Why does a human being put down another human being? It is sadistic but true. There are some people in this world who feel good when the other person feels bad, which means they don't want to lift themselves up, but they want to pull others down. It is sadistic behavior. Now, self-esteem is driven by self-acceptance. And low self-esteem, inferiority, is driven by self-doubt and inadequacy. Now, let me share with you what is self-acceptance. Self-acceptance says, I accept myself the way I am, with my pluses and minuses. Now, this does not mean arrogance. This does not mean complacence. This does not mean that's the way I am, that's the way I will be. This does not mean take it or leave it. Those are arrogance. If understood properly, self-esteem is the epitome of humility. It says, how I came to this world, I don't know, but I'm here. And I accept myself the way I am with my pluses and minuses. I realize I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I made mistakes. I apologize for my mistakes. I seek forgiveness for my mistakes. I'm not proud of my mistakes. I learn from my mistakes. I will not repeat my mistakes, but I am not a mistake. Are you with me? But I am not a mistake. Means I accept myself with my pluses and minuses the way I am. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stay the way I am. That is arrogance. Now, a very good example of this was Charlie Chaplin. Once he was going through Europe and he came across a big hoarding which said Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest. Out of sheer inquisitiveness, he went in and he said, let me participate, and he did. And guess what? He lost. He came number 7. He started thinking, the real one loses, the fake one wins. But then he started thinking, I'm the only one here who knows who's the real Charlie Chaplin anyway. Why don't I tell them that I'm the real Charlie Chaplin? Then he started thinking, why should I tell them? Do I have to prove anything to anybody here? I know who I am. I know my identity. I have to prove nothing to anybody here. He just went away. He walked away from there without telling anybody. I accept myself the way I am, which means I am at peace with myself, with my pluses and minuses. That is your self-esteem factor. The inadequate self-esteem, they fight with the whole world. They feel good when you feel bad, and that's the sad part. Okay, next one. Second last. I'm at second last now. Folks, to cope with a crisis, folks, stay away from blind faith leading to superstition. I repeat, stay away from blind faith leading to superstition. Remember, faith strengthens you. Blind faith, superstition weakens you. Now, let me share with you what it means. In fact, one of the biggest damage done to our country, India, is by the Indian media, the print media or the television media. Every time you open up the TV, what do you see? You just see somebody sitting in the saffron or some white clothes and with a few tilaks all around, and he is doing horoscope. Give me your name, date of birth, where are you born, time of birth. Oh, Guruji, I don't know. Okay, don't worry, I'll take it out. And then he pulls out all his tick, 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 tick. And then he goes through the process and he says, you got Putri dosh, Patni dosh, Phalana dosh, and Shani aa gaya, Shani aa gaya. And they start going through all kinds of upayas here. Now, keep in mind, folks, let me ask you. Important thing is, have you noticed on the TV channels that thousands of people who collect together and they're asking all kinds of things to these people? And have you seen one Baba say asking, have you had jalebi the other day? Oh, not, oh, that's the problem. And going through the whole process. Now, why do I share this with you? If you look at life history of Swami Vivekananda, Swami Dayanand, Guru Nanak, they never believed in all these things. They never did. Never did. In fact, they fought against superstition. Are you aware that in all Sikh weddings, they never tally as the patris, they never tally horoscopes, there is no manglik, and there is no Shubh day. Every day, all weddings take place on a Sunday. Sunday doesn't sit right, they do it on a Saturday. Saturday doesn't sit right, they do it on a Friday. Now, I will strongly recommend one thing, because blind superstition makes people weak. Now, there is an article written in India Today about a year ago. I strongly recommend you pick it up. It says, especially in India, that the childbirths in India, natural childbirths in India have gone down drastically. And they said, especially in South India, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Madras, are you aware that all 80% of childbirths are taking place through operation and C-section? 80%. You know why? Because some astrologers said, this is the good omen, get your child out at this time. This is what is going on. You know something, why I bring this up on purpose is, when things go wrong in life, and for everybody in this world, things do go wrong. But when things go wrong, instead of analyzing and learning and taking responsibility, we don't do that. These people always blame the stars. They blame it's not my fault, it is the stars' fault. And then they don't learn from the situation, and they keep repeating the same mistake again and again and again and again. Rather than accepting responsibility, it is much easier to blame the stars. And I'm sharing with you people who have preached against superstition. Okay, lastly, coping with a crisis is, this is time to give back. The poorest of the poor are the worst hit. They are the daily wage earners, hourly earners. They are the worst hit. They don't know what to do. They don't even have meat for the evening. And I've noticed on the TV news channels all over the world, US, Canada, everywhere, there are people coming forward, giving money, time, food, everything. There are many good people doing a lot of good stuff. But as a community, folks, as a community, there is one community I salute all the way. And they have been just honored recently by the government of Canada. I just got a video. Government of United States, New Zealand, Australia, United States, and UK. That community is the Sikh community, who has gone out of the way to serve people all the way. Even before the crisis took place, their concept of langar, they were feeding hundreds of thousands of people every day. And after the crisis, they are feeding 500,000, 1 million people every day, every day. You know why? Because they are caring people. They are caring people. One, they're caring people. Two, they are sharing people. And three, they're daring people also. You know something? This is what the Guru Granth Sahib tells: care, share, and dare. You see, they care, they share, and they have the guts to face up to oppression and terrorism. They face up. I wish in India, if we had adopted the philosophy of the Guru Granth Sahib, instead of our constitution, I think this country would have been totally different. Now, that is one part of the picture. But there was a man by the name of Lafayette in France. He was a very wealthy man. Drought came in and people were starving. He had warehouses full of grains. And his advisors came and said to him, Mr. Lafayette, this is the time to make money. You can multiply your money 10x, 100x, 100x. And they will pay anything right now, they're starving. And you know what Lafayette said? He said, no. They were good times. They were laughing. We were laughing. They were making money. We were making money. These are not good times. This is the time to open up the entire granary. Give it free. Give it free. These are the people who make the world go around. Now, this is the time to give. We have a Gurdwara here. There are 6,000-7,000 people are fed every day. And whatever contribution we can make on a daily basis, we do. But why I bring this up, there's a very important reason. Time to give. I was doing a program. There were some people, very high net worth. High net worth and very high net worth. Very high net worth, in my opinion, is people in excess of $250 million. $250 million is very high net worth. So I was addressing them. So one person from the group came up and he said, Mr. Khera, there are people who got billions and billions. Why do they still keep working? They don't need the money, but they still keep working. Why do they keep working? To make more money. So I said, my friend, there are two kinds of people. One billionaire is suffering from inferiority complex. The guy is keeping a score and he keeps checking. How keep up to the Joneses? How come they have this? I don't have it. They have this. I don't have it. How come they have this? I don't have it. And how come they have 100 million? I must have 200 million. They have 200. I must make 300 million. They have 300. I must make 400 million. So they keep a score. If I'm less than this guy, I'm inferior. You know what? They check net worth with self-worth. They check self-worth with net worth. They don't understand. People make things. Things don't make people. You take away the things, they will die out of shame. And Warren Buffett gave a beautiful statement on this. And he said, a jackass is a jackass, is a jackass, will remain a bloody jackass. If he has $1 billion, he's a jackass with $1 billion. He's still a bloody jackass. Now, let me share with you what. And these are people who keep making money to keep a score. Because if they are less, they feel inferior. And they keep sitting on the treasure like a bloody snake. That is the rascal, keep them out of your door. They will do nothing for society. But there's a second kind of a person who has billions, but they want to make more. You know why? Because they feel the more I have, the more I can serve. The more I have, the more I can serve. The more I have, the more I can give. Warren Buffett, I could stand corrected on these figures, had $40 billion, gave $39 billion to charity. Interesting. Bill Gates got $33 billion, gave $32 billion to charity. Azim Premji gave in the last 6 months probably close to $7 billion to charity. You know something? These are people who give. I learned one thing in my life, and that is money in good hands always does good. Money in evil hands always does evil. Now, hear this. People who say money is not important, either they're stupid or they're billionaires. You see, I'm not saying money is the most important thing, but money is very important. And I tell all my people in my programs when we do our leadership that remember one thing, it is the moral obligation of every good human being to be a multi-millionaire and a billionaire. I repeat, it is a moral obligation of every good human being to be a millionaire and a billionaire all the way. You know why? Money in good hands does good. Money in evil hands always does evil. Now, with those words, I'm going to stop here. All I can say is that out of this lockdown period, if you have not come out upskilled or more knowledgeable or in better health, not because you lack time, because you lack your own commitments. And folks, all I can say is probably I have gone over time. Maybe what you've given me is probably a lot more than what I could have given you. You've given me two things, folks. You've given me a time and you've given me a trust. And I learned one thing. Time is more precious than money. Time is more precious than money. And two, you've given me your trust. You gave me your time because you trusted me. And you ask people, what is the greatest thing in the world? And they'll tell you, love is the greatest thing in the world. I disagree with that. My definition says, in many ways, Trust is a much greater compliment in life than love. There are people we love, but we cannot trust. And I'm so grateful to all of you that you trusted me. I'm honored and privileged. I wish everybody great health. God bless you. Folks, if we have time, I know I've gone over.
Shivji, I have no words to express my heartfelt gratitude to you, sir. I just called you and you did not even, by the way, took 2 seconds to think about it and you said, yes, Andy, I will do it for you. So I want to thank you. Last 60 to 70 to 80 minutes have been extremely powerful, extremely impactful, extremely thought-provoking, by the way. You and I were discussing before the show started. You were saying usually you do this with people across and you gain the energy from the people. Sir, having watched you, I want to tell you, you were, in fact, I might tell you that you were even more impactful, by the way, today than you were in Canada. Because in Canada, when you were here among 500 people, our eyes were distracted. Today, all the eyes, all the ears were focused on Mr. Khera, sir. So you made an impact, sir. I am amazed how in this much of time, yes, we are going a little bit over time. I do apologize to our viewers and I apologize to Pramod Goyalji and everyone that we have gone a little bit over. But I tell you, I'm still amazed how you covered the social, the emotional, the economic impact of COVID, how you have touched each and every as if you are a doctor of some sort, and not even a doctor, but a very, very specialized doctors who knows everything what's going on. I really, really, really commend you. We have very little time for questions. There are tens of questions, in fact, hundreds of questions. I will confine them to 2 or 3 and ask you those questions. But before that, I just want to recognize a couple of people that are watching you today. We have numerous people from TCS, from IIT, from University of Waterloo, my classmates, etc. But we have some people of significance with us. My very good friend Sanjeev Ahuja, the ex-chairman of Orange Communications Global, by the way, is with us watching you today. My very good friend and an international tax expert, Bijal Ajinkya ji, is watching along with her husband, Tushar from Bombay. And obviously, I can go on and on and on with these people. But let me get to the questions. My first question, and the same question was asked by many, many people in different ways, comes from my very good friend Ramesh Chotai. By the way, and he's saying how to handle workers or persons who are doing a thing to self-promote only, and how do you deal with a very difficult professional in your organization? Mr. Khera, if I can humbly ask you to give short answers to these questions, I would sincerely appreciate that, sir.
Well, sometimes one-line answers can throw you off the track, so I don't want to do that. So important thing is, to answer your question, I've been into corporate training for the last 35 years. And when we go and train on attitude with Fortune 100 companies, Mercedes and Lufthansa, I tell my clients today that, look, what I'm doing in your organization is repair work, repairing. If you prepare them, you won't have to repair them. Where do you prepare them? In schools and colleges. But since we failed on that side, very important factor is to do, when you said, how do I get my employees moving on that side? Folks, there is no substitute to training, no substitute. And I'm not going to be able to cover the whole thing in one go, but let me share with you an example of Singapore and Mercedes. You see, when we opened an office in Singapore, I gave a taxi driver a business card to get me to a particular address. At the last point, he circled around the building. Meter read $11. I pulled out 11. This man took 10. So I asked him, Henry, your meter reads 11. How come you're taking 10? He said, sir, I'm a taxi driver. I'm supposed to be bringing you straight to your destination. Since I didn't know the last spot, I had to circle around the building 3 times. Had I brought you straight here, the meter would have read 10. Now hear what he says. He said, sir, legally I can claim 11, but ethically I'm entitled to only 10. This taxi driver, 8th grader, understands the difference between legality and ethics. Probably many lawyers and judges need to learn from this guy. Now, he didn't stop here. He said, sir, tourism is big in Singapore. People come into a country for only 2-3 days. If the first experience with the taxi driver is not pleasant, the balance 3 days is not going to be very pleasant either. Now hear what he says, D'Souza ji. He says, I am not a taxi driver. I'm an ambassador of Singapore without a diplomatic passport. How do you like that? Now I asked him, I said, Henry, how come all you people are so clean, honest, courteous, helpful? He said, sir, before we get a license to operate a taxi, it is mandatory in Singapore to go through a 2 months customer service training program. Otherwise, you can't get a license to operate a taxi in Singapore. 2 months customer service. And memories are short. Every year, they have to go through 1 week refreshers. And if you have not driven a taxi for 4 months, they have to go back into 2 months again training. No wonder these people perform. You see, Mercedes, it is when you sign up a contract as an employment with Mercedes, it is mandatory that every employee must go through 7 training days per year per employee all over. And by the way, this is not product training, it is people training. I repeat, it is not product training, it is people training. Therefore, you see, when you talk of the people problem that you just said, sir, keep one thing in mind. People development is not an event, it is a process. You call a guy like me, can you give a 1 hour lecture? You're wasting your money, man. Why are you calling me? Unless you're wasting your money. I don't take it. I refuse such people anyway to begin with. Bottom line is, it is a process. Just understand one thing. When we were children, when we were kids, and when we made a mistake, and when our parents corrected us, tell me, did we get corrected by their correcting us only once? Answer is no. We made a mistake again, they recorrected. We made a mistake, they recorrected. They kept correcting till we understood. Exactly the same process applies in people development in the offices. And most people just talk, I want to do this, I want to change. They don't want to do a damn thing. It is a process. Get the whole thing straightened out. And you will see your own people will start. Remember one thing, nobody in this world has a ready-made team. Teams have to be made by every person in this world. There's no ready-made team. So go ahead. You're not audible. You're not audible.
Yeah. My next question is from Sharat Khandelwal from Lucknow. He's asking, how does a migrant laborer who's not able to bring 3 meals to his table turn setback into a comeback? And secondly, what's your opinion on shifting micro-industrial units from congested urban areas to rural and semi-urban areas? Short answer, sir, if possible.
Shifting micro industries, manufacturing from urban areas to there, great idea, makes a lot of sense. We should have done it 15 years ago, 25 years ago. Of course, you want to get the congestion is over, it's busting on seams here. So that answers very clearly that it should have been done 15 years ago and it should be done right now, yesterday. That's one. 2, migratory labor, what do? They have no money, nothing in the pocket. What do they? There are all kinds of things happening, chain snatching, people pulling up things from everywhere. I just want to make one point, and that is, remember one thing, there are no principles on an empty stomach. I repeat, there are no principles on an empty stomach. You go and teach them integrity and principle on an empty stomach, nothing works that way. So therefore, you got to go and give them some sustenance level. Without that, nothing works. So we got to get our basics right.
So my next question comes from Manik Kataria, and this question has come from many other people as well. The question is, do you think the governments are rushing to open up businesses and services, and are we letting our guards down and risking?
Well, many countries all over the world, and which I feel is very prudent and wise, very wise and good thing they're doing. They are making sure that businesses stay afloat. Business should somehow remain in business. Why? Because if the business closes, job will be lost permanently. I repeat, business must sustain this crisis, because if the business closes, the job loss will be permanent. Therefore, those are wise people. And personally, I feel at least the lockdown, the way the crisis was handled in the beginning, I think hats off to our Prime Minister and the government. Excellent job done. Otherwise, the numbers would have been way higher. But I think some things, the implementation were not well thought out. Otherwise, we would not have people running out like this. Same thing happened when they opened up the liquor shop. Man, everything, all the 1.5 months of everything got died, finished. So answer is, with good intention, implementation was missing. Remember one thing, a mediocre plan, well implemented, is a lot better than a great plan, poorly implemented. So answer is, we need to have proper implementation, and that's about it.
Thank you, sir. Anita, I want to hand over because we are very, very late. I do apologize to the chamber and Mr. Goyal. So I hand over to Anita to, by the way, but I don't know what's next on the agenda. Does Mr. Goyal want to say something? Anita, Mr. Goyal, take it away from me, please.
Yes.
Sure, you don't need to, just 1 second, Anita. D'Souza ji, you don't have to apologize. It has been a very interesting subject, and the way Mr. Khera has been putting on his thoughts, I think everybody wants to listen to him on, for maybe hour long more. But I think it's just in the interest of everybody that is logged in that we need to, bring it to a closure. So thank you, all of you, and I'll revert back to Anita to kindly proceed with the rest of the agenda items.
Grateful. And I would request all of you.
Thank you very much.
Just drop me a telephone number and email for all the people I can see in the windows. At least I can communicate with them. And also let me know, where is Mr. Bhatia going? Yeah, where is he moved to? So if you have
Argentina, Shivji, he's in Argentina.
Okay, all right. Do drop me a note if you have the connection.
I will send you his email contact.
Thank you, sir. Grateful to you.
Wonderful. So thank you very much. At this time, I would like to request Mr. Ajay Tandon of the Chamber to say a few closing remarks, please.
Thank you, Anita. What a day we had. We were expecting, time is of essence. I think it's the best time invested. I would say welcome to Shiv Khera land. The amount of energy he brought today was one of the best sessions that I've attended many motivational sessions, but this was one of the best, more intense, engaging everyone. I can't tell you, I was picking up words, I was making my own notes. Catch the spirit, solution focus, you name it. And he always got into one word, family, family, family for everyone. That's the bottom line I took for me as well, coming in. Don't forget his 9 steps that he has given to everyone, starting from the Serenity Prayer to all the way to giving back to the community. So he gave us an all-round education within a very short span time. And I was actually commenting in various chats that were going. I said, I wish we had more time with him. So thank you, Mr. Shiv Khera, for coming in today and taking us to the University of Mr. Shiv Khera. That's what I would call it as of now. So it was very nice. Thank you very much from everyone who was here listening. I would also like to thank our guest of honor today, Her Excellency, Mrs. Apurva Shrivastava. She has been a great friend from the time she has come in. We always used to think that those are big shoes to fill in, but I think now the next person coming in will have far bigger shoe to fill in, because she was the fastest to pick up the pace in Canada. And now during the crisis, she has helped many Indo-Canadians. So we thank her, and staying with Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. So thank you very much, Her Excellency. You have been doing a wonderful job. And Anita, thank you very much for your contribution as well. Our sponsors who make the entire event possible, they have been standing with us throughout the time. And I would compliment the entire chamber team, our board, our president, who was also an MC with us today, for taking those strides into the uncharted territories. We have never done this. So we have gone from being national to become global. We were maybe Indo-Canada corridor, we were very popular, but now we have gone global. And I want to thank Mr. Arjun D'souza. What a wonderful addition that you have brought with us today. You have been a great friend to the Indo-Canadian community. You're a pride of Indo-Canadian community here. But thanking you is an absolute honor for bringing Mr. Shiv Khera today. And I can see his schedule is so busy. I was always wondering, how do you manage to bring him? So we want to thank you for that. We want to thank the entire global audience that was with us, completely joining us and listening to all that. So without them, we are nothing today. But also our members who have been growing with us for so many years, sticking with us as Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. I've been with the Chamber for over 16 years, and I feel that this is the prime institution for any Indo-Canadian who is coming to Canada. Even in the crisis mode when you need somebody at that point of time to take you to the next level. And I think there's no other better institution in Canada for all Indo-Canadians to be joining with Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. This is the best time to upscale yourself. Indo-Canada Chamber is your platform to doing that. We also want to thank our technology partner today that have made everything possible for us for this session. Tangential, and I've got our partner Vijay is there with us. So he's also my co-colleague on the board. So I want to thank him as well. Our office colleagues, Mayank and Renu, who put and do a lot of work behind the scenes. And again, I come back to the person who you all want to thank is Mr. Shiv Khera. Thank you very much. We also want to thank your team, Mr. Shiv Khera, for putting the entire event together with us. So I can't thank everyone. If I missed everyone, please, I send my apologies. Connect with us. We could be bringing Mr. Shiv Khera again one more time for another session. That's what my personal request comes. I have made so many notes today, and I'll be discussing that with my family because upscaling is the way to go. So thank you once again. Please do stay connected with the Chamber for the upcoming sessions that are coming, because this is going to be the new norm to connect to globally with us. And we will be bringing, I'm from the travel business. No other industry has seen a setback like any other. And I think we will be coming out stronger, better in the future. And it will be a crisper world that we will be living in. So we look forward to more sessions like this. And once again, thank you everyone from the bottom of our heart to be connecting with us at Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce and the session with Mr. Shiv Khera.
Ajay, I just want to give a standing ovation to Sir Khera.
I stand with you, sir. I stand with you on that. Thank you very much. Wonderful.
I'm grateful.
Hopefully, are standing up, by the way, to give you salute, sir.
I'm honored.
People want to see your face, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much. Love you, sir. You are a legend. You are God bless you, and may you have a long, happy, healthy life, sir. And may you continue to bless us always. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Andy. And next time when we come, we need to know the reason of his entire secret of energy in his speaking, in his body language, everything. Next time we'll hear from him for sure. Thank you very much, everyone. Stay tuned with the Canada Chamber of Commerce for all the updates that we send it to you.
Thank you, sir. Grateful.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Apurva ji.